Welcome to Backstage with Becca B with special guest Sara Gonzales. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca B. On this episode, this Webster Conservatory of Theater Arts grad has been in regional theater shows such as Carousel, Legally Blonde, In the Heights, and Bring It On. In 2017, she joined the cast of the second national tour of Wicked as an ensemble member and memorable understudy. Please welcome Sara Gonzales.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you so much for inviting me to do this.
Of course. I was like, she's been doing so much during this time that I'm excited to talk to her about everything she's been doing during this time and about coming back. First national tour to come back.
Oh, thank goodness.
So exciting.
So ready for that.
So how have you been during this time? It's been super weird.
It has been incredibly weird. Unprecedented, I would say, for everybody. And I guess there's some comfort in that and knowing that it's been like this for pretty much everybody, especially people in our field,
Yep.
Yeah. So I've been okay. I'm living currently still right now with my in-laws. This is my husband's old childhood bedroom. And then we were staying with my parents for a while, and we stayed on our own for a little bit. We kind of were just bouncing all around.
That's been a plus to this time, is getting to spend time with family for everyone, because when you're out touring, you probably don't get to have very long sit downs with any family members.
No, it's just little brief visits here and there, or we're going to be close to California in between cities and say hi to somebody. But this has been time that we would never have thought we could get with our families. And to spend it with them has been, while annoying in so many ways, still such a blessing. So grateful for it, but also grateful for an end in sight.
Yes, exactly. What city were you all in when they were like, hey, so the tour is taking a pause? You cut out.
We were in Wisconsin. We were in Wisconsin at the time, and they gave us an option about 4 months after the pandemic hit. Do you want to get your travel trunk? So when you tour, you have a big trunk that you put most of your belongings in, and they travel it for you. And many people said, oh, I'll take mine now, I won't. And I said, I don't need it because I don't really have a home of my own right now, and I don't think it's going to be that much longer. And I regret that. Most of my clothes are in there somewhere in Wisconsin, just sitting there collecting dust. So when I open it up again, it's going to feel like I went shopping. All this new stuff.
You're like, I haven't seen this in ages.
Yeah.
I was optimistic. I was optimistic like that too. I was like, this is going to last, it's going to be fine. It's going to be a month. Everything's going to be back to normal. Here we are.
Yeah. The break, while being incredibly sensitive to what was going on and trying to stay as safe as possible, the break away from the 8 shows a week and the traveling, at that point I had been traveling with the company for 3 years. So the break at first was welcomed. and then as a month passed, I went, okay, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. What do I do?
So now we're at a year and 3 months, and rip roaring ready to go for sure.
Yes. So I'm gonna get more into Wicked later, because as you mentioned, you've been with the tour for a while, and that's so amazing to be with such a big show for as long as you've been with it.
Yes.
But first, have you always known that you wanted to be a performer and be on stage and act and sing and dance?
Yes and no. It's both. My family has always been very musical. We're musically inclined. My parents met in a jazz funk band. My mom's a singer. My dad's a bass player. So music has always been in our lives. And I guess growing up when I was a little kid, my parents started to see that it was something that I gravitated towards a lot. And we lived in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So if you are someone who's inclined to be in theater or act or perform in any kind of way, it's really accessible.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, ah, dang, we got a performer. We got to put her in schools that are going to be good for her. And they were so supportive in that way. But then as I got a little bit older, later in elementary school, that's how early my parents put me in schools that were specializing in theater and in dance. I started to not quite look like everybody else in Los Angeles. I grew very tall. I was very bulky. I had crazy curly hair and big bushy eyebrows and big buck teeth. And I looked like Mia Thermopolis in the before of Princess Diaries. That's who I was. And in that time, in the late 90s, early thousands, looking like that and wanting to be a performer, they didn't quite mesh very well. And so I had a lot of people in my life, not my parents, but a lot of people in my life kind of want to squash my dreams of being a performer because I didn't quite look like what everyone else did. And so my confidence went way down.
Yeah.
I gave up many times. I would say, I don't want to be a performer. I want to be a zoologist. I like animals. So get to high school and I'm looking at this zoo magnet where you can go to high school at the LA Zoo. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. And my mom takes me on a tour and they show you how many science classes you have to take. It's about 4 science classes a day. And I'm listening and I turned to my mom and I said, I want to be an actor. Yeah, you don't want to be a scientist. This isn't the way your brain works. So then I went to performing arts high school. So yes, long story short, throughout my life, all the way up until Wicked, honestly, I've loved performing. I know it's something that was deeply seated in who I am. And I knew that it was something that I was gifted in, but society and the world kind of worked against me and my confidence would shoot down very fast. And so when Wicked came around, it was a shock and something that I said, wow, I defied what everyone else thought.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to carry that for the rest of my life and say yes.
I mean, and you get in your head when stuff like that happens and when journeys like that happen when you're young. So you probably defied what you thought at that point too. And that was probably even more exciting to be like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like I didn't give up at any, like I went back and I did theater again and I didn't give up and it's all worth it.
Yes. I mean, it always found its way back into my heart. That's the way the world works. It's going to keep giving you opportunity till you're ready to meet them. And I was very adamant as a kid. In any form of when I wanted to try something new, my anxiety would come right first. And I would say, I can't even try. I don't even want to. I don't want to meet the failure. I don't want to meet people's judgment. It's not going to go well. So I'm not even going to try. And my parents really instilled in me that trying and failing, if it happens, is a part of the process. And what your job is to still find what you love about this, the joy in it as you meet those failures. And that joy is what's going to help you maintain discipline. And then you're just going to keep going, perseverance. And that was a big part of my journey, was perseverance, as it is for many actors, but for different reasons. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's important that you brought up the standards, and especially like the entertainment industry, but LA has like a lot of like, they have ridiculous standards that they like expect everyone to meet. Like
Yes.
I was interviewing someone early on and she was like, I didn't get roles because they were telling me that I was too tall.
Yeah. And that's so silly. I mean, it's complete silliness. And I can't tell you how happy I am to see now in 2021 us finally opening the doors for all types of humans in this world to play any type of role. I can't tell you how many times in my life I heard, your face is so pretty. Your voice is so pretty. You could be the ingenue if you could be the leading lady if. So I always played like older. I played, 50 and up most of my life, because that's what people thought a plus size person should be. They only equate plus size, tall with the gawky or the older role. And I'm very tall too, so I couldn't even play Tracy Turnblatt. And so everybody was like, "Oh, you could be Tracy," but then I get into an audition for it, and they would say, "No, you can't, because she has to be stout in their eyes." But you're right, especially in LA, which is so silly. I feel like I should have grown up in New York. And when I first went to New York, my eyes were open to how there it is slightly more accepting of unique features. But in LA, it is all about the image. And the image then was, as much as I love her, it was like Lizzie McGuire, Mary-Kate and Ashley, straight hair, blonde, very different from who I was. Yeah. And before I can even present any talent to anybody, they would look at me and go, "No." And yeah.
Yeah, and they don't even get to see your talent. They're missing out on all the talent that's sitting right in front of them because they're like, "Well, you're not 5'2", and
right. And now, as someone who's got like a really small platform for people who may feel like they don't fit any kind of mold, that's what I want to share the most is you're going to have to find the confidence somewhere within you and know that people do believe in you, but the chance will come. You keep presenting yourself to people, you keep sharing the gift, the joy, the talent, and I swear one day someone will see it. And the opportunity will come. It will come.
Yes, there's so many talented people in this industry and casting directors who are like blinded by standards or missing out.
Yes.
Just saying.
They're missing out.
Yes. Do you remember what the first show you were ever in was as a child?
Yes. Well, the one that resonates of note, not the ones that you do when you're in like kindergarten and you do like that little concert. There was one we did like this tiki luau, and I remember very specifically being upset that no one would memorize the words, and I was like, "Oh, I know the words, so come on." But I was in second grade, and the elementary school I went to did these school plays, and they picked me out of and each class would have a number within the show, and they were all written by the music director at my elementary school. His name was George Weil. He actually wrote "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" and the Gilligan's Island theme song. So he would write these like really fun, fantastical plays, and we would put them on.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a fantastic man. And he would make these plays, and each class full, like second grade, third grade, fifth grade, would get a number, and then they'd exit the stage, and then only a couple of select people would be a part of the actual story. And I remember in second grade, they pulled me out and they said, "We want you to be a bad kid." And so this group of bullies would come in, and I was wearing a shirt very similar to what I'm wearing now, and the Ray-Ban sunglasses, and I was a bad kid. And I just remember being so proud of being a bad kid. I don't know what the story was. I don't remember it at all, but I remember saying, "Mom, I'm going to be a bad kid." And that was it.
I mean, that's the joy of being a kid and like getting any role on stage. You're just like, I had my like 5 seconds of fame on stage during this scene. You're like, I did this. Did you see it?
Yeah.
And the parents are like, what?
Yes. And then that year we also did something about toys coming to life, and I was Fuzzy Wuzzy the bear. And I remember wearing like a bodysuit of Fuzzy Wuzzy, and I didn't know the rhyme that he isn't very fuzzy. And so I didn't put together that this pink like bodysuit I was wearing, I was like a naked mole rat. And my mom said later that night at dinner, she said the rhyme to me. And I was like, what do you mean I have no hair? I'm a fuzzy wuzzy bear. And she was like, no, you're naked.
You don't get it.
But
that's
yes.
amazing. Do you remember the first show that you saw, that when you realized that like this was a career, that acting and performing was a career and wasn't just like a hobby that to do for fun?
It was Wicked.
Ooh.
It was Wicked. So I had seen shows before then, but it didn't compute in my brain that it was something that was attainable for an average person. It just was like a fun show to see. At that point, magic and looking at things through a lens of wonder stayed very long with me. And so reality didn't really hit, or like what I wanted to do with my life, until I was about 14 or 15. And so I had seen, like Hairspray. I saw the tour of Hairspray come through, and I saw many shows I'd seen, but it was just like, oh, fun. This is a fun thing I'm seeing. But then when I was 14, Wicked came to the Pantages, and my mom and my best friend at the time got lottery tickets. And lottery tickets, you get to sit in the very front row. And I only knew the music. I didn't know anything else about Wicked. And it starts gong, 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 and the dragon goes, and something punched me in the heart. Defying Gravity hits, blacks out after she goes, and I just start weeping. And it was the first time that I was able to acknowledge that the feeling I was feeling wasn't just, wow, this is amazing. It was this yearning to do it, to feel what she was feeling. And then I tried to hold on to that as much as I can. But Wicked was the first thing to ignite that this is maybe something I want to do.
This was later on in my questions, but since Wicked was that show, who was your first Elphaba and Glinda in the show?
Oh my, okay. I've had a few. Jessica Vosk and Amanda Jane Cooper were my first Elphaba and Glinda. And I was,
Oh.
Yes, I was there towards the tail end of Amanda's run, and then I was with Jessica for a while. I actually, during Loathing, once threw a book right at Jessica's face, and she somehow ninja style just caught it with one hand and just looked at me, and I went, "Give me my book back!" But it was so funny. I almost knocked Jessica's face clear with a book.
She could play like baseball or something, quick reflexes.
Sure. Yeah, she could, for sure.
Who was the first Elphaba Glinda you saw in the show?
So that was in Los Angeles. And I saw Eden Espinosa and Megan Hilty.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And fun fact, there was somebody in the company, in the ensemble then, who was in the ensemble when I joined the company as well. And I said, I recognized him immediately. And I said, you were in it in 2000 and whenever that was. And I saw you in it. And he was like, oh my God, it's been so long. But yeah.
That speaks to how well they take care of their performers on tour, obviously, if performers want to stay with the show that long.
There is a saying, once a munchkin, always a munchkin. We say that whenever someone leaves the company, once a munchkin, always a munchkin, whether it be that you stay for a very long time, or if you were to leave, there is always a space for you. If someone were to get hurt, or if, for whatever reasons, people return. And even if it's for short engagements, you never see somebody just once. Everybody comes back at one point, even if it's just for a moment. It's a family, and people I've never met are still close to me, because the stories always revolve and memories are so alive within the companies. It's such a gift when you get to be a part of the Munchkin family.
And I'm gonna ask more Wicked questions.
Yes.
I love talking about like shows that people do pre these national tours, these huge
Uh-huh.
Broadway shows.
Uh-huh.
What has been your favorite show that you previously have done or previously were in?
Oh my. I would say, I went to college for musical theater, and I had a really grand time doing well, I've done a few, but I had a really grand time doing Legally Blonde.
Yes.
And that was for all for different reasons. But for that one, we kind of switched around roles a little bit. So I got to be in the ensemble, and then I played Chutney. And so I got to like poof my hair out and find this really odd character who was obsessed with her hair. I added like this quirk where she would sniff her perm. It was really quite funny. And then Jerry Mitchell was a part of, because he's a Webster, I went to Webster University. He's a Webster alum. So he came and we did original choreography, and it was really fun to be someone my size and do that choreography and show him like, we can get it.
Yes.
And to have that opportunity. But when it comes to what my favorite performances were, I would say it was the two shows leading up to getting Wicked. I had taken a very long break after graduating from theater because I was told by somebody who led a masterclass that I wasn't going to work until I was about 40. They said, you're very talented, but you're not going to see work until you are much older. And I said, okay. So I gave up, and I was doing other odd jobs that I still loved, but they weren't theater at all. And then I decided that I missed it. So I just started doing community theater around, and I had kind of poo-pooed that for a while because there was something in me that was like, well, I have a B.F.A, so I should be doing paid work. But at the same time, I slapped myself and said, art is art. Theater is theater.
Yeah.
Good theater comes in all forms. It's what you bring to it.
Yes.
So I put that pride in the trash, and I auditioned for In the Heights and did that. I played Daniela and got to really access, because I am half Mexican, and I've had a hard time feeling connected to that part of my culture because I look very Greek, because I'm also half Greek.
You do.
Yes, I look very Greek, but I'm more Mexican than anything. But I found this connection, and my dad played bass in the band. So he's Mexican, and he found this connection with the music and the story and finding your home, finding what it is that makes something home, and being proud of who you are and expressing the heart of your culture within everything you do and being proud of it. So that show helped me connect to that part of me. And then right after that, I did Bring It On, the musical. Ooh. And played Bridget, who is supposed to be this really quirky plus size girl who finds herself on the cheer team. And I don't think, to be 100% honest, I don't think I would have gotten Wicked if I hadn't done that show, because that conditioned me really hard. We were doing cheer drills, and I'd never been a cheerleader, but if anyone has who's listening to this, that they condition you. It is like, we've all seen Cheer on Netflix now. It's hard training. And so that was already kind of ingrained in me again. It got me back in theater shape, so that when I went to the audition, it wasn't completely like this new world experience to me. So I would say those two. Yes.
Wow. What do you think? You mentioned going to school. You went to school at Webster Conservatory, and I don't know the full name. Webster Conservatory. Yes. It says of theater arts, yeah?
Yes, of theater arts.
Something of theater arts. How did you decide to go study there? And what was the most valuable thing there that like helped you go forward in your career?
Well, I took a year off after high school, and most of that was for me to find myself, to be certain that theater was something that I wanted to do. And I'm sorry if the connection is bad right now.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, good. And so I had auditioned for colleges after my senior year, and I had a coach when someone like helps you get all of your material together, and that person didn't really know who I was, and it was very clear that when I went into those auditions that I wasn't representing who I was. So after that year, I got my material myself. I trained myself and said, all right, these are the schools that I think would be most compatible with who I am. And Webster's take on musical theater and theater is very much focused on the craft and not so much business focused. And so if that's something that you want to learn, it's very focused on diving into the text of a show, immersing yourself in the world, being the most well-rounded actor you can be in any situation. And so that's what drew me to Webster. So once I got accepted there into the musical theater program, I was really happy. And I'm still so grateful for it. And I think the biggest thing, while it doesn't maybe give you the best insight on the business side of theater, which I do think like is very important, it helps you hold on to, which is what something I've been passionate about my whole life, holding on to why it is you love the craft and making sure that you don't lose yourself in the business side of it, and that you remember that you wanted to do this because it's something that you're good at and it's something that you love. So that's what I would say thank you to Webster for, is making sure that I loved the craft by the time that I graduated.
And you mentioned being very excited when you got in, and I was gonna say, who would it be? Because like musical theater programs, from what I've heard, like those auditions are no joke, and getting into those schools are no joke.
College auditions will be the most terrifying thing you ever do if that's something you choose to do, especially if you go to something called Unifieds, which is where all of the colleges, all the special ones come into one central area, and you've got like 11 auditions in one day, and you're seeing the same people, and they're all giving you those eyes like, that spot's mine. And you're like, no, oh my God. And then, but then they're also, when you go in, okay, a class can only be 10 to 20 people.
Yeah.
That's my chance rate. I've got one chance. It's just like any other show, but with when you start auditioning in the Broadway community, you can go and audition for the same show several times, and you can get other opportunities to be seen as you evolve. When you go to a college audition, it's that. And then you have to wait a full year if you want to do it again. You'll be older, but yeah, it's high pressure. And I applaud and support any child that goes through that, any mom or dad or sibling who sits through their kid going through college theater auditions. It's high pressure.
I mean, I'm sure the parents get even more stressed out than the kids sometimes, because they're watching their kids like be like worried about these auditions and like potentially have broken hearts when they don't get into these competitive schools. So it's like,
Right.
I mean, they've also given up stuff so that their children can go and succeed in this business, and they're like, I really want my child to get in.
Yes, and that's like where my mom and my dad, but my mom was the one who went with me to those. She was so good at not adding any additional pressure of her expectations, if that makes any sense, because it's still easy for parents when their kid decides to be in the business in any form of entertainment to want to get so hands-on and to control it because they want to see their child succeed. And while the intentions are good, sometimes the impact is negative, because they're already receiving pressure from other forms, and the place that they should be seeking support and solace should be from their parents. And my mom was so good at giving me the room to either celebrate myself, or even if I want to put myself down for a minute, she gave me the space to do that and met it with love.
Aw,
And she was so good at that.
I
So
love.
thanks, Mom.
Aw, shout out, shout out. So, getting into Wicked auditions, for Wicked auditions, I imagine that they were very tough and that it was like very fast. You had to learn a lot in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Did regional theater and community theater beforehand like kind of help you prepare for that, because the turnaround with those shows are so quick and you're learning like different dance moves, different parts so quickly.
So fast, so fast. I think education at that point, if you're choosing to seek it, is a really great tool when you start going into those serious auditions, the fast ones. Um, Especially so with this particular audition, it was an open call. I saw a Facebook flyer that said, "Attention, Wicked Witches of the West. Wicked's coming to Los Angeles for an open call, 9 a.m. in blah, blah, blah." And so I said, "I'm going to go. I'm just going to
Yes,
go."
why
And
not?
I got there and there was a line through the door already of all of the beautiful girls in their jewel tones, and some of my friends came, and the line was so big. It was the first open call of this stature that I had ever done. And when you finally get into the room, we're all stuffed like sardines in this tiny little dance room. Someone from Telsey came out and said, "All right, there's so many of you, you get 8 bars. And that's it. Don't slate your name. We have your resume. Just walk in, give your music, say hello, and start singing 8 bars." Now,
Oh,
8 bars is like either the tail end of a song, you're mid phrase at that point.
yeah.
But luckily at school, they helped us get something called a money cut, which is 8 bars. You have your money cut where if someone says you don't have time, sing the thing that's going to wow them the most and give them the best story possible in 10 seconds. And so I had that, thank gosh, because in Los Angeles, for musical theater at least, you do 32. There's
It,
not a ton of musical theater in Los Angeles. So everyone who works there knows you get 32, maybe 16, but never 8. So you see people frantically going through their music, like, "I don't know where to cut my music. I don't know what to do." And because I didn't have to have stress on that, that already set me up in a place where I was like, "All right, cool. All right, I'm good. I'm good. I know what it is. I don't have to freak out. And I'm just happy to be here." So
yes.
I kept that joy. And also this was so new to me, being in such a large room. I was kind of pretending like I was in a reality show, and I'm just like looking around and taking everything in with these eyes of like complete wonder. Yeah, so that, at least music wise, I was really grateful to have already an 8 bar cut. So if I were to give advice to anyone, have your money cut. You never know when they're just going to say, you get 15 seconds, go. Yeah.
So you went in and you were like, I'm excited to be here. Whatever happens, happens. And you
Yes.
were just enjoying yourself. And they obviously saw that.
Yes. So it was kind of like a Cinderella story. No agent, non-equity, just went in this cattle call, and I sang "I'm Coming Out of My Shell" from A Year with Frog and Toad. And it's a male song normally, but when a female sings it, it wails up pretty high. And I went in and was like, "Okay, and then did that." And I said, "Okay." But all my friends came kind of late to the call. So they were like 100 numbers behind me, and we were all going to go get ramen after. So I was like, "Well, I'll just wait in the room with you." So I did my song. I'm sitting in the waiting room with my friends, and I get a call from Telsey. They called me as I'm in the waiting room still. And they were like, "Hi, this is Telsey. We just wanted to invite you back the next day for another audition for Wicked. We'll send you the sides. We'll have you sing this part, and we'll have you do a scene from Madame Morrible." And I was like, "Okay, okay." And I'm sitting there in the room, and people are staring at me, and they can tell that I'm like on the phone with them. And so then these whispers start going around, like, "Oh, she got to call back. She got to call back." And they sent me the sides right then and there, and I just started studying. And one of my good friends, Emily Cook, who played Elphaba,
Yes.
we went to high school together before she went to, I forgot the other place that she went to, but we went to Hamilton High School together. I texted her and was like, girl, I just got a call back for Wicked, for Shen Shen Madame Morrible. What do I need to know? Help me. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be sassy. Do your thing that you do when you play older people. Just be yourself. That's all I can say. They're going to love you. And so that's what I did. I didn't go in with any kind of preface of like, you're going to be wowed or I want this role. It was more just like, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So I went in the next day, sang the terrible Green Blizzard solo 1,000 times.
Oh my God.
And then it's a fun one. And then I did this Madame Morrible scene. And something came over me, and I love playing older roles. I love, because it's something I did so much. I have this philosophy that you don't ever play age. Never play age. You play experience. You live, you present what this person has gone through, and that will give you the age. So I tried to hold on to that, and I tried to have like a fun accent, and I was fully off book. I thought I was. And they had the camera going for New York, and you know, all the big people are behind you, and they're just like, all right, don't look at the camera, just do the scene. And I get to this one line that's supposed to be, she will share my compartment where I can assist her as needed. And I said, she will share, she will live with me. She will live with me where I can help her all the time. And I just stuck with it. And I said, I know you know that I know I didn't say the right words. But we're going to keep going. And I didn't do it again. They didn't ask me to do it again. So I was like, oh, well, that was that. But how much fun. And then I'm driving back home, and I see an email pop up that says Wicked dance callback. But I'm driving on the 101 freeway, and I didn't know if the dance callback was going to be that day or if it was going to be the next day. So I call my mom, and I was like, Mom, log into my email really quick. Can you please tell me before I turn around, what is this thing? And so she went in, and she was like, oh my God, it's tomorrow. So then the next day I did a dance callback, and they had us all lined up with people that were definitely like particularly for certain roles. And there were some people in there that later on got into Wicked, like Michaela Martinez and John Hall. There were a bunch of people that ended up being in Wicked later on. But you do the dance call, and then they're all sitting around your stack of headshots. And they took 2, put them on the side, and then they took the other pile, and they said, all right, everyone, thank you so much, except Sara Gonzales and Michaela Martinez. Can you please hang back? And so then they brought me in, and they had me sing like a bunch of other stuff. And then they said, great, thank you. That's it. You're done. Good luck. And I left it there. I said, wow, that was the best experience of my life. I can now move forward with other regional auditions and feel proud of myself. I can't believe I did that. Boom, left it there. Couple days later, I'm decorating. It's getting close to the holidays, and I love to decorate early. I got a bunch of like Christmas decal stickers all over my hands, and I'm trying to put them on the windows. And I see this New York number call me, and I was like, oh my God. So I throw those off my fingers. I run into my room in the fetal position, and I'm like, hello. And because I don't have an agent, Craig Burns from Telsey calls me, and he's like, hi, this is Craig Burns from Telsey. How are you? And I was like, hello, Craig Burns. I'm okay. How are you? And he goes, great. I just wanted to call you and give you an early Christmas present. It's the role of blah, 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 blah for the Wicked National Tour. You would begin on January 6th. Would you like that? And I was like, yes, I would very much like that. He goes, amazing. So I see that you're not equity. Well, you're going to be equity now. And so we'll talk you through like what that means and what your X, Y, and Z, the paperwork, the contract, your flights. But yes, you've got this much amount of time to get your life together, and we'll see you on the road.
Oh my goodness.
I was so grateful. And then he said, I just wanted to say that it is always so special when we meet someone that we love and we have the opportunity available for them. Because there are so many moments, especially with Wicked, because people do stay a long time.
Yeah.
There are so many moments when they see people that they would love to bring into the family of Wicked, but it's not their time yet. And so he was just like, I love that we got to do this and that the opportunity was there and you came in. So thank you for coming in, and that was that. And then now it's been 3 years.
Like a perfect timing thing.
It was absolutely perfect timing, and I don't think it could have happened at any other time.
Wow.
Okay.
And I was gonna say, you mentioned Emily and you went to the same high school at one point. I was gonna say that speaks so highly of the high school that they have two people in Wicked. I don't know if there's more, but they have two people who have been in Wicked.
So the Hamilton High School is in Los Angeles, and at least from the people that were around the same year as me, there are some that are like Charlie Rosen. He's an orchestrator for many Broadway shows. Be More Chill. He does movies.
Oh,
Ramon Owens is in Beetlejuice. I
yeah.
mean, so I can't. There's so many, and they all go off into their own avenues of what they love. Like we've got world-renowned jazz musicians and sound editors. It runs the gamut, and I'm very grateful that we had that experience so young. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, what is the rehearsal process like when you're joining a cast? And I mean, it sounds like you got the call in November or December to join in January.
Yeah.
So, how fast do you have to go and learn the dance moves and learn everything you need to be part of the Wicked ensemble?
It's different for every person, but the average is you get 2 weeks of rehearsal and a couple of days where you get to work with the cast, and then you get thrown in. Um, it depends really. So I was lucky that I got at more than a month's notice. So I had a month and they gave me the music to at least get the music in, like my specific part in my head, which is a very funny story because when you listen to any soundtrack, naturally most people go and they sing the soprano stuff, right? Or like you just sing the
Yeah.
melody. And they put me on second soprano, and most of it was very easy for me to learn, except habitually, and thank goodness at the very end, thank goodness for today, I kept doing the first instead of staying on the same note for second. So my husband has this recording of me being in the other room when I was first learning it, going like, thank goodness for today, thank goodness for today, thank goodness for today, just really like messing up. Yeah, it was like, 10 years of listening to the album and trying to get that out of your brain. But I'm lucky. I had a month or more notice. Some people only have 24 hours. And they say, all right, pack a bag,
Good
get
luck.
on a plane, and let's go. It happens a lot. And so then you get there and you learn the show from the ground up with the dance captains. So one female, one male, and they run through the whole show with you and you learn it yourself in a room mirror. And then you go through the music with the music director. And then once you've got the whole show under your belt, they'll move you to the stage and you'll start to navigate your way through the stage. And then maybe they'll give you your show shoes and then you can work and navigate through your show shoes. And then they'll add the other swings and have a special rehearsal just for you, and you'll run through the show with the swing. So instead of 2 people, now you've got 6 people and they're playing all the different roles, and you learn. There's like numbers on the stage and you learn, okay, I go to track 4, number 7, and I'm going to touch this person's hand, but there is no person there. So you're just like, okay, that's when I would touch this person. And then you get something called your put in. And this is your only opportunity to do the show in your full costume, hair and makeup, but nobody else is in full costume, hair and makeup. And then when you do your put in as an ensemble member, you don't get full effects. So if you're a principal role, they give you lights orchestra, smoke, all of that stuff that you should get used to. But when you're in the ensemble, they do partial tech, and so you don't really experience all of it. And so that's it. That's your final rehearsal. And then the next time you do the show with full orchestra, everyone in costume, lights, is with the full audience. And my debut was in Tampa, Florida, and it was magical until Loathing. And we get to the part where we're backing up with our books, and I step on my skirt and I plant butt down during the part where the entire school is walking with Glinda to stage right, and I fall stage left with Elphaba. So now the whole group is going, oh no, and they're leaving me behind, and I'm on the floor looking at Elphaba, and I was like, this is it. I'm gonna get fired, or I just get up. So I get up and I snap at Elphaba like that.
Yes.
And a Z formation, and I run back into the pack and just go, that's it. It can't get any worse than this. And then everyone was like, okay, you can stay. You've gotten the fall done. You can stay.
You thought on your feet.
Exactly. Yeah, we made the best of the situation. Luckily, I played the bully, so.
Yes, that's so amazing. Well, okay, I've noticed you're really good at making like your character in the show, like giving her a huge role within the track. I don't know, like, I mean, you and Allison, when you all were playing those roles together,
Yes.
like, it was like you all were also the leads in the show.
We had a whole story going on, you know. Yeah, maybe when I first started, it was to an extent that might have been like a little too much, but I love, and that's like something that Webster helped me with. I love finding the meat. Yeah. And that's what it was. And it also makes it fun when you do a show 8 times a week. And so much of it is planned. So much of it has to be according to numbers and lines. How do you keep it organic? How do you keep it fresh for you so that you can maintain this like longevity of authenticity? And part of that is that some days you just got to give yourself a crazy story.
Yes.
Some days you just have to be like, you know what, Fanny? I told you that this was going to happen. And you said to believe that it's going to be fine, but it didn't go fine, you know, and I create these wild backstories. But yes, thank you. And I definitely got yelled at a couple times. It was like, you got to tone down your choices.
That's amazing. Your choices are amazing. What's the craziest choice that you've ever made, like pre a show? What's the craziest story you've ever come up with for your character?
Oh, I have 2. So one was definitely Chutney in Legally Blonde, giving her the obsessive compulsive habit of sniffing her hair. So anytime she would lie, she would sniff her hair. Anytime that she was saying something that wasn't true, she would sniff her hair. And the girl who was playing Elle couldn't look at me because it was making her laugh. And she was like, you got to stop. And I was like, I can't. It's a choice. It's who Chutney is. She obsessively grabs her permed hair and just stuffs it up her nose. It's just what she does. So that's one of them. And then the other was when I was in high school, we did Les Mis, and I was playing Thénardier, and I gave her superhuman strength. And then my husband Thénardier was weak. And so any opportunity, if I could pick him up with like one hand, or I would always pick him up, or I would lift tables, or anything that he would struggle with, I would pick up with like a hair, just like with my pinky. I just gave her like abnormally strong muscles.
Love that. We love that. And I was gonna say, you're in a lot of scenes with Glinda's in Wicked. How do you have those moments where you're like, I cannot look at the Glinda who's on stage next to me? And if so, like, which Glinda specifically have like made you break character, or almost break character a little bit?
That would have to be Erin Mackey and Kara Lindsay.
Oh my God.
Both of those women are so wildly funny in their own ways. And Kara, both of them were also really good at ad-libbing and staying within character as they ad-libbed. And so it would just come out of nowhere. And you would look at her and go, oh,
what is she doing?
that's so smart. Like, you're so smart. I want to, as an actress, go, yes, but you can't. Kara is probably the most phenomenal actress, performer, human I've ever met. But Erin Mackey, her humor, it evolved so much during her run that from like the very first day to the last day, that's where I would crack, because it would come out of nowhere and I'd be like, where did this come from?
Unexpected.
Yes. So those two were definitely the ones that gave me a run for my money when it came to who's gonna make each other laugh more.
Yes. And I mean, now you've gotten, and I know you and Allison were like playing the two
Yes.
friends. So like now you're next to her while she's playing Glinda, and you're probably like, oh my God.
It's so now, yeah, that's like a whole other element of developing that relationship with her as the person I spent the most amount of time with on stage and off stage. Like, our dressing areas are right next to each other. They're like, I just spend all my time on stage next to her. All of the jokes or funnies or that development came with her. So then when she stepped into the role as Glinda, I would look at her and be like, I want to do these jokes with you, but I actually can't. Your mic is on. You're Glinda right now. So we had to really shift the dynamic of what our relationship was on stage. And at first it was a challenge, but I think adding the element of having Jennifer, who plays Fanny now, who I have such a strong personal friendship with, that that dynamic started to make its own organic. It was just different. And so if I wanted to, like, Alice and I both had to focus and say, all right, you're Glinda now. You're Glinda. She's Fanny. I'm going to develop this relationship. And then this relationship is now different. And then she had to focus and be like, I'm Glinda. That's Elphaba. This is the relationship I have to focus on. Yes. And it was definitely a mind game at first, but if there was anyone to do it, you know, we're all professional. And when Allison's such a great Glinda that she was able to do that switch. And then Jennifer's such a fun partner on stage too. I have to give her props that we developed a whole other dynamic and allowed space for that to grow in its own way.
I'm interested, were you ever Morrible while Allison was Glinda?
Yes. Once in Los Angeles, the dream came true. Unfortunately, everybody got sick. So there was this time in Los Angeles where, I mean, there were about 5 out of 8 principals were standbys or understudies. And I got the text that I was going on as Morrible, which was already a dream because the Pantages is where I saw Wicked, and it's where all of my family and like all of my friends are. So to do Morrible there was already this pinch me moment. And Allison was always the person I rehearsed with. She was always my Glinda in rehearsal. And she was like, you know, such a close part of my relationships there and the show. We would always say, oh, wouldn't that be amazing? And then all of a sudden she texted me and said, I'm on. And I said, I'm on. And we just cried. We ran into the dressing room and we just cried. We were like, this is it. Okay. But also that means
the dynamic changes again.
We got, and we got to focus. We got to focus, girl. Don't look at me and go, and I can't look at you and go, you know, there's none of that. I'm going to be mean to you. So let's get our heads in the game. And that's where like professionalism at this level comes into play, where I can feel that way inside and be squeeing, but on the outside, no one would see that.
Yes.
But, yes.
Why do you like playing the older characters in shows? Because like, I feel like it's such a challenge. for younger people to play older characters in a show, it's even more of a challenge than any other character.
I 100% agree. And it's not easy. It's not something that comes naturally to a young person.
Yeah.
And it's not what, as I said this earlier, it's not what people think is difficult about it. It's not difficult for me to walk as though I'm 90 years old. It's not difficult to slap on some age makeup and gray hair and to look like a grandma. That part is easy. The difficult part is having an understanding of life the way that a person of age would.
Yes.
To give it that fullness, that wisdom. Where does wisdom come from? It comes from experience. And so to flesh out why it is, let's say Madame Morrible, why it is she the way she is. Why does she carry herself this way? Why does she wear that crazy makeup? Why does she like how long has she been headmaster of the Shiz University? Whatever the dynamic is, like what are her intentions? Where do they come from? And that is what the challenge is, holding on to the memories that you have to create for them so that someone will really believe that you are that age. And I can't tell you 100% of the time if it's someone new to the company or even people in the audience when they come to the stage door, when they haven't seen me play Morrible, and then they're like, you aged 50 years.
Like, how did you do that?
I did not recognize you. And then you get the people on the stage door who look at me and then they'll see the white halo and they go, no, who are you? And I'm like, I was Madame Marvel. And they're like,
what?
No, because they wouldn't expect, once I transform into whoever that is, for it to be someone who's as young as I am. And I'm not young, but considering. And I think that is the biggest challenge, but also the greatest opportunity for anyone who's pigeonholed into playing the older roles. That is the one thing I'll say I'm thankful for, being typecast and pigeonholed as I was growing up. I always had the opportunity to work on that skill of being somebody older and wiser. Yes.
It's a challenge, and you're like, I mean, I feel like very few people are able to do it well.
Authentically, it's like I said, it's easy to put on a voice. It's easy to hunch your back and be an older person, but it's also more fun if you add that hunchback to know why.
Yes.
Why? What happened in your life to give you that? And that one element is what differentiates a good performance from an extraordinary performance, from that immersive feeling that somebody gets where they're watching a show and going, I feel like I'm in real life. And that disbelief that comes in, that's what you want to attain. So yeah,
definitely. I feel like the ensemble scenes in Wicked are some of the best scenes in the show. What is your favorite ensemble scene to be a part of, and what is your favorite ensemble costume? Because I love the costume.
I love all of the costumes. Gosh, that's so tricky because I just love Wicked so much. I love all of it, but I have two. I love Dancing Through Life, Ozdust. I love my Ozdust costume. I love the way it flows. I like the way I feel in it. And then I love One Short Day. One Short Day because there's something about the transition that happens into it, and the transition that we all have as ensemble members. We have just been playing these young students who are like kind of carefree and very easily manipulated into adults who think that they're independent and glamorous, but they're also really easily manipulated. Yeah. But there's this other element now of like elegance that we kind of smash your face with really fast. And it's so busy and there's no set. It's just us in these grandiose costumes. The spectacle of One Short Day to me is what I love the most. And the costume too.
Yes. What are the different, like, in different scenes, does your character's name change?
I don't think I've actually named my non-Shen characters. I've had in the past evolved them into just different forms of Shen. Even One Short Day, where like I know it's happening immediately, but I have like this theory that she dropped out of school because she heard that Glinda was heading to Emerald City, and so she's like incognito and got like an internship somewhere at like a wardrobe facility. Yeah, and so I oftentimes just form her into like different versions of Shen, who's just like where's Waldoing Glinda.
I feel like that's believable.
Yeah.
That's definitely believable. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, from the beginning, someone could be like, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Right.
Or that backstory. You know, that
Yes.
backstory. What's the hardest dance to do night after night in Wicked?
Ooh. I mean, they all are difficult in their own way because the choreography is so specific, but also has this element of freedom. But the styles are so specific.
Yeah.
So while loathing or what is this feeling seems like it's more simple a dance, the precision of where we have to go is what's important, and that's challenging. Um, but I would say One Short Day only because the only thing on stage, like I said, is us in our costumes, some lights, and our choreography. And we have to captivate you and keep you captivated in that moment and not let the costumes, our assistant choreographer always says, don't let the costumes eat you up in this number. The costumes are not the show. You are. The choreography is the show. So finding that style and hitting it sharp every night. And there's this one little section called the hoi polloi that certain people have to do, which is supposed to kind of look like traffic, walking traffic. And it's the most simple choreography. It is the most difficult to keep precise every night. And I'm telling you, when we have choreography rehearsals, it is the one part that always gets worked on because it's about the precision. So I would say One Short Day.
It's easy to overthink the simple things.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
what am I doing here?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you work on stamina on tour? Because like you're touring and you've been touring for over 3 years and it's 8 shows a week you're on stage for. How do you
Yeah.
work on being healthy and like not getting sick when you're going from city to city?
Oh, well, I mean, there is just no way not getting sick. That happens. That's something I've learned is that part of maintaining longevity is that if you get sick, you let yourself just get sick, go home. It's okay to miss a show, to not get anyone else sick, and to rejuvenate. Do it at home. Taking a break is important. That's something I learned because it took me a while to understand that the show will go on if you're not feeling well. Um, but I would say not letting the show be your everything once you're on tour. It's so easy to allow once you're on tour for that to be your bubble, to let it be the only thing that you do the entire day. So there are people, and I was culprit of this at the beginning, where you stay in bed all day. You stay in bed, you might eat a meal, you watch TV, and then you get up and then you go do the show, and then you come back, and then that's it. But when you do that, you start to lose sight of all the things that you loved before you did Wicked, or the well-roundedness of who you are. Some of the things that made your performance in Wicked so good start to go away. And also, it's very easy, even though you're in the show and doing it, to lose stamina as you go on. And maybe where you were at the beginning of your contract is not where you are at the end. And that requires other maintenance, not allowing the show to be your only source of either activity or art or expression. it having the well-roundedness of other things. So whether that be you go to the gym, or I love Orange Theory, because it's like this set hour of someone telling you what to do, and it's hard. And so if that's the challenge of my day, then I get to Wicked and it's not the hardest thing I'm going to do, which means that I can bring more to it. And that's my philosophy on it. And then doing things for your mental health, whether that be that I want to go see a movie because seeing a movie makes me feel good, or I'm going to at least spend one day a week going exploring something new in a city so that I see something that's not just the green lights. And I'm lucky. I have a dog. I now have 2 dogs on tour, and my husband would tour with me. So I had always something keeping me grounded to the outside world. I have to take my dogs out. I have to find dog parks, and so that's what helped me, but definitely not allowing it to be your everything, so that when you do go do it, it's special.
What do you think keeps people on tour and with Wicked for long periods of times? Like, obviously there's contracts, but
Yeah.
like when you forget about the contracts, like what makes people love going in to their job at Wicked every day for as long as they do?
When I first started, our stage manager told me, this is the Cadillac of tours. They take care of you here very well. And that's not just in the sense of like cities we go to, and the fact that the show is such a special show. It's that they really do care for you here. The company managers, the stage managers, the company itself never allows anybody to feel unseen, ever. And that's not something that can be said about many Broadway companies. And that's just the kind of the truth of it. It's not everyone's always going to get along. And that's the same here. Like, not everyone's going to love each other all the time. And we're all traveling in the same group for so long. You're bound to get annoyed with somebody. But the sense of unconditional love and family within the companies of Wicked, especially the tour, because we travel, it's palpable. And when new people come in, especially those who have done other tours or are seasoned, they come in and they go, I've never experienced this before. This feeling of like, if I fall, I will be caught. And that level of unconditional care, who would want to leave that? Who would want to leave something that, beyond just doing the show and being talented and booking, and yes, the checks and all, being like a working actor, beyond that, being valued is
So special.
It's hard to come by.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes the audience enjoy the show more when they see the chemistry that the cast has.
Yes.
And I think that speaks to like the tour as a whole, and to like why audiences and new generations of audiences keep coming back to see the show. Which, speaking of which, how would you convince someone to come see the Wicked tour when it does resume, which is happening soon?
Which is happening so soon. Well, I practice this a lot. I haven't in the last year, but anytime I would take an Uber, and if someone asked me what I did or why I was in the city, oftentimes the Uber driver, like half of the time, would say, I don't like musicals, or I don't know Wicked, or I've never tried to go see a show, whatever it is. And my husband even wasn't really into musical theater when we first met. And the first show he ever saw was Wicked. We went to see my friend Emily is Elphaba. And I always say, if there is a show to start with, if there is a show to convince anybody about musical theater, to bring them to the side of enjoying it, it's Wicked. There is something in Wicked for everybody. There's fantasy, there's action, there's love, there's pop, there's classical music, there's dancing, there's like the showmanship, but then there's also the intimacy. It hits everything. And it's serious, but it's also funny, and it's topical, and it's meaningful, and it leaves you thinking, and it's captivating. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on about why it is the show that's run, one of the shows that's run the longest, that keeps people captivated. And that's what I usually start with is, if there was a show to come back to seeing theater, or if it was a show to start with, regardless of whether I was in the show, it is Wicked.
Yes,
It's Wicked.
yes.
If ever I'm introducing a friend to musical theater, Wicked. If it's someone's been bitter about theater and they need a little bit of reignition, Wicked. It is just, it hits all marks. It checks all the boxes.
It does. And that's why, I mean, that's why it's sold out when tickets went on sale for Broadway in like 30 minutes, I heard.
I mean, can you imagine the first time we hear that downbeat and you see that dragon, the time dragon clock move for the first time, hearing that downbeat of bum, 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 already right now is giving me heart palpitations.
Everyone's going to be like a mess.
It's going to be a mess. But that's like, I feel like, I mean, honestly, any show you see is going to give you that feeling right now because we are all desperately missing it. But if I were to think of a show that has the most impactful downbeat to get you into the, oh, it's happening moment, it's Wicked.
Yeah, it's good to see me, isn't it? Line is going to
yes. We're going to probably have to hold for the audience to go crazy.
There's going to be so many like moments where you're going to have to like be like awkwardly like paused on stage and your poses at the end of songs.
Oh yes, I'm ready for it.
Ready for the 5-minute applauses.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So what's your dream role to play on stage?
You know, I don't really have a dream role because I feel like maybe that role hasn't been made yet. Yeah. That makes any sense. I never thought in 1,000 years I'd ever play Madame Horrible. And that is so satisfying to me. And even playing Shen Shen, my dream role once I graduated college, really in any, well, my dream role since being a teenager has been accepted as someone who can dance, if that makes any sense. I loved getting the opportunity to be not the old person because I liked exercising that part of my talent that not many people could see. So Wicked is a dream show. And beyond that, being able to dance in Wicked is even more of a dream. To be someone on stage that somebody in the audience who might look like me can see and go, I can be in the ensemble. I can dance. I can be one of the people that it makes and molds the story beyond the leads. So that dream has been fulfilled and I want to keep doing it. But when it comes to like a principal role, I don't know. We'll see.
Someone's gonna create it, and we're gonna see you in a new role, an original show.
That's right.
Manifesting that. So you've been doing a lot during this past year, and you've been like constantly on social media and posting a bunch of videos, workout videos. Yes. How did you come up with that idea, and when did you start like really getting into that during like really getting into like videotaping and yourself doing these workout videos?
Well, it sprouted mostly for accountability because the year prior to the pandemic, I really wanted to grab a hold of my lifestyle that I was having on tour. I felt like the things that were keeping me mentally, emotionally healthy were slipping away because I fell into this pattern of not exercising beyond Wicked. So that's when I was saying earlier, like having that other thing, I found that on tour. And I really loved how I was feeling. I was on this really strong role of like being a very healthy version of myself. When the pandemic hit. And I was really, really scared, selfishly, of letting myself go and not having the things that were keeping me accountable, such as going to Orange Theory classes, which stopped, and going with my friends and having those people support me. Not having that, and then having to rely on solely myself at home, I was starting to doubt that I could do it. So I had to think of a way where I'm motivating myself to keep a healthy lifestyle, not to lose weight, but to just make sure my heart stays healthy, my mind stays healthy, and I'm staying strong, because I loved how strong I was. And so I came up with posting videos, whether it be on my stories at first, but it wasn't really for anybody. It was for me to stay accountable, because then I'd have my core friends who would say, I see you, let's do it together. Like me and Jennifer, we were Zooming every day and doing workouts. And then recently, Instagram started doing something called Reels, right? Which is like a TikTok for Instagram. And me being a millennial, I'm like, oh, yay, something that I know how to use. And like, I'm starting to scan through, and there were all of these like little fitness challenges that people were doing for at-home workouts. But I was looking, going, these are all very conventionally fit, really beautiful, skinny women doing these workouts. And it wasn't, while they are amazing and they are strong, it wasn't inspiring me, because it felt like someone that looked like me wasn't being represented. And it almost felt like it was giving the idea that someone who looked like me couldn't do it. And I want to be like, no, we can do it. We can do it. So I just started doing these challenges, whether it be a dance or like these little tiny squat things. And one just happened to pick up and find itself viral. And it's at like almost 8 million views and likes. And I'm like, it's so overwhelming. It's like, you never think that that's going to happen to you. But through that, over the last few months, I've garnered this following of people who are motivated and inspired to just be the best versions of themselves, regardless of what others might think they're capable of based off of the way that they look. And I've been faced with that my whole life in entertainment and in anything really. Like, people look at your body and go, well, clearly she sits around and eats burgers all day. And that's awful. That's awful, because it's the opposite, and you're judging me based off of the way my body looks. So that's the biggest reason I do it now. Still, for accountability of myself, it gives me a sense of pride and accomplishment, but it's mostly now because it's reached so many people, to give them a safe place to be a beast, to show that they're strong in whatever level they're at. And that's been a huge source of inspiration for me.
I mean, it's been a huge source of inspiration for me to just like see you stay motivated during this time. Like, it keeps me motivated to see other people who are motivated. It's hard to stay motivated when like you're like, well, I have nowhere to go when I mean the world is shut down, and you're like, so like, how do I work out? The gyms are closed. What am I supposed to do?
Oh, and believe me, I went through that too. There was a couple of months where it was very dark for me, and filled with sadness and dread and confusion and anger, and some at myself, some at others. And it felt like I didn't have room anymore to take care of myself. And when that started to get to a place where I was like, if I keep going further down this road, I won't be able to even return to my job in a place that I want to. That was the first moment of going, you can do this. And then having like my husband help me and say, you can do this. I believe in you, do it for you. Yes. And then from there is when it started. But I wouldn't be as motivated as I am, or driven or disciplined, without the accountability of having this massive amount of people who are looking for that motivation. And I don't want to see it as pressure. It's not pressure. Sometimes it feels overwhelming, but it's mostly, that's my inspiration, is them, is you.
Well, I think people who are meant to find your social media account and your videos found them and got inspired, and they're like, wow, like their whole life probably like changed overnight just by getting inspired by you and like seeing someone working out. Like someone just like doing something like that they enjoyed during this time and
Yeah.
finding something that they enjoyed during this time. Like
Yeah.
it's been so challenging. It's been so challenging.
Makes my heart explode.
Oh, well, speaking of your videos, where can people find you on social media to keep up with what you're doing? Before I get to my last question.
Yes. Well, Sara, SARAGT63 is my Instagram, which is where my main source of all things are. I'm not really on TikTok. I should be, but it's just too much for me. It's too much. And then I just recently launched a YouTube Strength with Sara. Get jiggle with it. It's where I'll be posting some tutorial videos for people who want to maybe start working out with me, and because when you can duet it on Instagram, it's a little fast paced. So there it'll be a little bit more step by step. So give that some time to flesh itself out. But the link to that is on my Instagram, and that's something that we'll be beginning very soon.
Oh, I love that so much. And I'll put the links in the description and in the lower thirds. And my last question is, what are you most looking forward to when live theater returns?
I'm most looking forward to saying yes more to things that I normally would have said no to. I'm most looking forward to giving more things a chance. Like when I'm also listening to my body. Like if on a Saturday night, some people might be going to a local whatever.
Yeah.
Normally I would say no. Or on a Monday, if someone's gathering for something, I would say no normally because I was tired. But I'm going to do my best to say yes, because that's something I've learned that I miss so much, is connection with people and experiencing new things. So saying yes more, and on a more outreach level with Wicked, I won't go too much into it, but we're hoping to be able to use Wicked. Company members of Wicked are hoping to use the story of it as a platform to start doing more outreach in the local communities that we go to help impact them in a positive way, to help bring perspective, and to start extending the story and the themes of Wicked outside of the stage and into the communities more. So that's something I'm really looking forward to doing.
Yes, and I mean, there's not a better cast to do that than the Wicked cast, I feel like.
Oh yeah. Just stay tuned for some announcements for that soon.
Ooh, I'm excited. I mean, there's no show that people are like, oh my gosh, it's coming to town. It's finally coming to town. Like than Wicked. Like people are so excited. And I'm in Dallas right now, so woo! I was like, I mean, I came back home during this time, and I've been like, oh, I hope Wicked it opens by the time it's supposed to be in Dallas. And hey,
manifestation, baby.
I'm excited, and I know other people are too who live here. People were like texting me, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, it's coming!"
Yeah,
I'm like,
so looking forward to it.
So well.
Well, you can give us some tips on where to go when we're there in Dallas. So excited.
Yes. And well, thank you so much for talking to me on my show today.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
You're like very inspirational, and I'm so happy that you've had like so much success and that you're on tour with Wicked, and like, I mean, inspiring people every day.
Thank you so much. And I'm definitely feeling a little bit of like imposter syndrome, but it is an inspiration to me. All of anybody who says that is what inspires me. And I'm so eternally grateful for everything. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, especially about Wicked again. It has been so long and feeling ready.
Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!